रतन पदारथ वंजीऐ सतगुर दिया बुझाई राम लाहा लाभ हर भगत है गुण में गुनी समाई राम। हुक्मनामा श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब पेज 569-570 अंग 569-570 वडहंस महला तीजा। रतन पदार्थ वंजीऐ सतगुर दिया बुझाई राम लाहा लाभ हर भगत है गुण में गुनी समाई राम। गुण में गुनी समाए जिस आप बुझाए लाहा भगत सह सारे बिन भगति सुख न होई दूजे पत खोई गुरमत नाम आधारे। वखर नाम सदा लाभ है जिसनु एतवा पार लाए रतन पदार्थ वंजीऐ जहाँ सतगुर दे बुझाए। वडहंस महला थर्ड। In this Shabad, Guruji tells us what a sublime and highly prestigious is the trade or business of dealing in the invaluable gems and rubies of God's name, what kinds of pleasures and blessings we obtain by engaging in this trade or profession. At the same time, he also tells us how painful and torturous is the trade or profession in which one keeps running after worldly wealth and worldly attachments, and how good and bad persons are rewarded or punished in God's court. First, metaphorically talking about the business of God's name, he says, "O my friends, the true Guru has made me realize that instead of other ordinary worldly things, we should trade in the commodity of the jewels of God's name. The profit of dealing in this trade is the worship or the devotion of God, through which the virtuous persons merge in God, the very source of all virtues. Yes, whom God himself instructs, that person earns the profit of God's worship in this world, and then, becoming meritorious, merges in God himself, who is the source of all merits." Continuing his address, Guruji says, the one whom God engages in this trade of dealing in God's name makes God's name as the anchor of his or her life. And that person firmly believes that no peace prevails in one's life without God's worship. And by being in love with duality, the love of other worldly things instead of God, one simply loses one's honor. The one whom God yokes in this business procures the jewels of God's name and always earns profit by dealing in the commodity of name. But we invest in the commodity of God's name only when the true Guru makes us understand how profitable is this trade. Stanza 1. माया मोह सब दुख है खोटा ए वापारा राम कूड़ बोल बिख खावनी बहु वदय विकारा राम बहु वदय विकारा सहसा ये संसारा भिन्ना में पत खोई पढ़ पढ़ पंडित वाद वखाने बिन बूझे सुख न होई आवन जाना कदे न चूकै माया मोह प्यारा माया मोह सब दुख है खोटा ए वापारा। No, Guruji tells us how painful or costly is the attachment to worldly riches and power. He says, "O my friends, the attachment to Maya, the worldly riches and power, is all pain, and false is this business. In this business, one has always to eat the poison of ill-gotten worldly wealth, because of which too much evil multiplies. Yes, in this way, the evil keeps on multiplying too much, and this world becomes dreadful, and without meditating on God's name, one has lost one's honor." Telling us how some crafty people take advantage of this situation, he says, by studying again and again many religious books, the Pandits describe many conflicting theories, but without understanding the importance of meditation on God's name, peace is not obtained. The result is that the one to whom the attachment of worldly riches and power is dear, that one's coming and going never ends. Therefore, we should understand that the worldly attachment is all pain, and false is this business. Stanza 2. खोटे खरे सब परखियन तित सच्चे कै दरबारा राम खोटे दरगह सुटियन उबे करन पुकारा राम उबे करन पुकारा मुग्ध गवारा मनमुख जन्म गवाया बिख्या माया जिन जगत फुलाया साचा नाम न भाया मनमुख संतां नाल वैर कर दुख खट्टे संसारा खोटे खरे परखियन तित सच्चे दरबारा राम. Next, comparing the fates of the true and the false or good and bad persons, Guruji says, "O my friends, all good and bad persons are examined in the court of that true God, like genuine and false coins. The bad persons are rejected and thrown out of the court like false coins, where standing up they cry for help. Yes, standing outside the mansion of God, these blind fools wail and cry in pain. In this way, these conceited ones have wasted away their human birth. Because of this poisonous worldly attachment which has misled the entire world, the true name of God doesn't seem pleasing to them. On top of that, by harboring enmity with saintly persons, the world brings about more pain for itself. The worldly people don't realize that all good and bad persons are examined in the court of that true God, where they are all rewarded or punished in accordance with their past deeds." Stanza 3. आप करे किस आखिए आप करे किसे आखिए और करना किछु न जाई राम जित भावै तित लायसी ज्यों तिसदी वडियाई राम ज्यों तिसदी वडियाई आप कराई वरयाम न फुसी कोई जग जीवन दाता कर्म विधाता आपे बख्शे सोई गुरु प्रसादी आप गवाइए नानक नाम पत पाई आप करे किसे आखिए और करना किछु न जाई. However, lest any of us feels proud or egoistic that he or she is better than others or starts pointing fingers and passing judgments on others, Guruji wants to caution us that it is God himself who makes the creatures good or bad, and we shouldn't feel arrogant about our goodness or bravery. He says, "Oh my friends, it is God himself who makes anybody good or bad. Nothing else could be said or done about that. As is his glory or will, wherever it pleases him, he engages the creatures in that task. Yes, as is his greatness, he himself makes a person do whatever he wishes, and there is no one brave or coward on one's own. The giver of life to the world is the architect of the destiny of the creatures, and he himself forgives or gives greatness to his creatures." Nanak says that if through the Guru's grace, that is by following his advice, we lose our conceit, and by attuning ourselves to God's name, we obtain honor in his court. But we should always remember that it is God who himself does everything. There is nobody to whom we can say or complain, and there is nothing more that can be said about this fact of life. Stanza 4-4. The message of this Shabad is that the attachment to worldly riches and power is a very false profession or pursuit. Therefore, following Guru's advice, we should shed our worldly attachment, meditate on God's name, and accept with pleasure the will of God. Then we would earn honor both in this and the next world. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. SGGS, page 569-570. Thank you.